Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with the Phantom Strider. Today we're going back to some restaurants with food chains that recently went bankrupt and why. So, yep, not sure there's just some that just didn't, go through the 2020 COVID shutdown. Not sure which ones actually fell or why, but well, let me know if you actually went to any of these in the comments. Well, let's check it out. Here we go.
Howdy. As we reach the second half of the 2020s, I think it's safe to say the 2020s have not been a particularly easy decade. The 90s and 2000s and 2010s, they had their problems, obviously. But holy cow, the 2020s have had some doozies for us to deal with. And something that brings me a weird comfort is seeing that it hasn't been particularly easy for many food chains either. In fact, Wall Street found that restaurants have seen more bankruptcies in the 2020s than they have for decades. Sometimes in these food chains, customer traffic just gets too low and the managers can no longer afford to pay the employees. So they have to wave the white flag and close up shop. But not every food chain has to last forever to be good. So let's acknowledge the big food chains that have gone bankrupt in the 2020s, and maybe better understand what went wrong. If you're ready, let's begin.
Let's see. First up.
Let's start with Hooters. Since they first opened in 1983, Hooters has been a chain grill known for its wings and waitresses. In fact, Hooters used to be a huge brand with restaurants all over the world.
You could say they were a juggernaut.
You really had to say that?
Well, despite their name, many reviewers praise their wings first.
Greta Wings.
I think they mean great wings, but reviewers appreciate the friendliness of waiters too.
My waitress was Allie. She provided great service, casual conversation, and was always helping her waitstaff.
Trustpilot was actually mostly positive.
Nor is the Queen Owl. Hoo-hoo! She's very nice to talk to. If you're having a bad day, i.e. due to football, she'll cheer you up.
Well, football is rarely the cause of my bad days, but glad she could cheer you up. Despite this fairly good reputation, Hooters has closed about 40 locations in 2024 and filed for bankruptcy in 2025. As of writing this, I could actually only find about 15 locations left in the world. USA Today claims there's about 151, but I couldn't find this many. So Hooters isn't extinct yet, but it's closing up more restaurants than ever. So what went wrong? Was it a change in our culture? Could it just not adapt to COVID? Fast Company said that Hooters of America has been struggling for years, according to their report.
Struggles included higher costs due to inflation and reduced foot traffic from people cutting back on discretionary spending, such as dining out.
Of course, the other issue is that many younger generations just aren't interested in Hooters as much. Mash made a good point that part of this might be because of changing interests. This is a tough one to gauge, but based on research, less young people have been fixated on, well...
mammary glands, honey.
Yeah, thank you. In 2017, statistics found on the most popular adult site, users between 18 and 44 were less likely to search for breast-related terms than older users. Honestly, it's a complicated cultural subject, but Hooters noted these changing trends, and they noted the seeming dropping interest in a modified sweat glands in younger generation. This may be part of why we saw the creation of Hoots Wings, which is a Hooters spin-off that still keeps those delicious wings they're known for, but it doesn't require women to wear revealing dresses, and they even hire men to serve too. That being said, every Hoots Wings I could find on Google Maps was permanently closed except for like one of them in Chicago. So this approach may not have been successful either. While not the best source, a Reddit discussion on Hooters said that the store's general manager reported it was becoming difficult to find willing women to quote-unquote fit the Hooters standards and accept the offered wages. Wow, that's bad. And a former Hooters
Yes, so basically it sounds like they just couldn't find anyone to work, and due to costs, couldn't keep it up. Which, honestly, fair considering like the stigma of Hooters, the whole white tank tops and all that. Can't blame them. I mean, honestly, maybe if a change of brand could have worked, but to each their own. What do you guys think? Honestly, I haven't gone to a Hooters ever, but I've heard of it. I think I had wings once there, but mostly for delivery. That was it. I think. It's been a while. I don't remember. Anyway, moving on.
Waitress responded that the company's rules were too strict. Another person mentioned that the restaurant Twin Peaks had been more successful in recent years. I'm not exactly sure why this lumberjack theme works better with many people, but Kerry and her husband ate at Twin Peaks recently and it looked packed. And apparently, Twin Peaks expects to pass 1 billion in sales in the next few years. So clearly, there's still some demand for this type of restaurant. But Hooters just isn't capturing patrons anymore. Personally, I've never really been into this type of restaurant, but hey, as long as the staff are being treated respectfully, if that's what some people like, enjoy your wings and company.
True. Reach your own, as they say.
The next bankrupt chain is Chuck E. Cheese. While Chuck E. Cheese did declare bankruptcy, as of 2025, they're actually making a comeback. Back in 1977, the creator of Atari, Nolan Bushnell, said, "Hey, these 70s arcades are dark and creepy. What if there was a safe place for kids to come and play arcade games where parents feel more comfortable? Oh, and pizza." Thus, Chuck E. Cheese was born. And for decades, it was a massive success. But as the creepy puppets lost their 80 appeal and the pandemic hit the food market like a sledgehammer, Chuck E. Cheese eventually found themselves in
Bring up
bankruptcy.
FNAF.
In fact, after COVID, they found themselves $1 to $2 billion in debt. As I said, they're making a comeback, but it hasn't been easy. They spent more than $300 million in recent years figuring out how to entertain the modern Gen Alpha children. As of now, they've had a dramatic makeover. They've completely removed animatronics, which frankly was well overdue. I don't know how any of those could still have animatronics after Five Nights at Freddy's. Instead now, we can see they have trampolines, a mobile app, and floor-to-ceiling jumbotrons. I personally think Chuck E. Cheese is earning their comeback, as the stores I could find still open were well-run, clean, and very kid-friendly. And well, being a kid is often a crappy experience as is. So seeing another fun place for kids taken away from them actually gets them out of the house kind of bums me out. For some families, Chuck E. Cheese is the closest thing they have to an amusement park. But why did Chuck E. Cheese originally go bankrupt? Well, I believe they just didn't adapt to the times the same way other pizza chains did. Because their whole model was having kids and adults in the same center playing games and having fun, not ordering pizza from home on their tablet. You played arcade games at the center, then you sat down for some pizza. See, to me that sounds awesome, but when you have pizza chains like Domino's leading into ordering online, pandemic or not, they've got constant business. And this problem of getting people out of the house is not just exclusive to the pandemic. A peer-reviewed study found that people are spending less time out of their house since COVID. Sometimes mum and dad don't need much convincing from their kids stuck on the tablet to just order from Domino's rather than going down to Chuck E. Cheese. Nowadays, with the cost of living crisis, people have less discretionary spending for pizza as well. So Chuck E. Cheese has to work even harder than ever to convince parents to bring the kids down. There are also really stupid internet rumors that made no sense and absolutely didn't help Chuck E. Cheese's reputation. For some reason, there was this rumor going around that Chuck E. Cheese was recycling their pizza. I've debunked this one before, but it remains one of the dumbest rumors I've heard in internet history. But on a local level, Chuck E. Cheese's reputation was mostly very positive. Every single review I could find averaged 4 stars, over hundreds or thousands of reviews. On internet reviews, that's impressive. Even if there's less locations now, I'm hoping Chuck E. Cheese sticks around for a long time yet.
Yeah, why not?
Our next bankrupt chain is Karen's Restaurant.
Hi, welcome to Karen's, where the service is way to
Apparently, it doesn't pay to be rude, at least in the long term. Karen's Restaurant was a dining chain that had the waiters intentionally act rude to you, named after the Karen stereotype, you know.
I want to speak to your manager.
I think this was an interesting gimmick, and looking back at my video from 2 years ago when I was reviewing the place for controversial restaurants, I wasn't expecting Karen to go bankrupt this quickly. But I have to admit, I had a Karen's Restaurant nearby me, but Nin and I never went there once.
Was that so hard? Nan, coming. How many hands do I have?
After a long day, we just don't feel like being treated rudely when we go out. Originally in 2021, Karen's Diner went viral on social media when it opened its first restaurant in my country, Australia.
Where am I?
Australia.
Oh, hey, that's pretty cool.
Let's go to Karen's.
Hang on.
With people enjoying its social media interest, 18 more locations popped up. But as of 2025, I looked on Google Maps and the only Karen's Diner I could find remaining was in Australia's capital city, and that one said it was permanently closed. The Karen's food chain was very young, only lasting 2 years before going into liquidation. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, the main problem reported was increased labour costs and lower foot traffic. But why the lower foot traffic? Well, unlike some of these other chains, I don't think there's any particularly complex reason why Karen's failed. I think very few people intentionally go out for an unpleasant dining experience beyond a one-time novelty. And the problem with viral online trends is they're very temporary. Once people have had their Instagram picture with a Karen staff member being nasty, they probably won't be going back for a regular burger. In this instance, I actually think Reddit summed up the reason for failure quite well.
I felt awkward watching videos of other people going. I would never go there myself.
It was hard to watch and completely at odds with why I would ever eat out anywhere.
Yeah.
You go out for good food and good service. To pay money to get bad service is beyond gimmicky.
Yeah.
It's just dumb, really.
I say this, but
You're not wrong. Like, let's be real. When you have a tagline of great food, terrible service, really? You know they're only just gonna come for the one time, right? Mostly just to videotape you being rude. Like, really? Like, maybe they should have just done it for like a one-night kind of deal. And just been a regular diner after that, you know? I don't know. Or, heck, maybe just be Karens to the people that actually deserve it, you know? Like, if it's like an unsolicited advice or something like that. But hey, as they say, to each their own. But anyway,
we also see through the restaurant Dick's Last Resort that there is a demand for gruff service, at least in Southern America. While they only have a small handful of restaurants, they've got a great reputation and seem to be going strong. And of course, the controversy on the news likely drew customers away too, when occasionally staff went a little too far with their insults, or aimed these insults at children. Their biggest incident was probably when a staffer was caught on video making vulgar remarks to a teenage girl, and pretending to gratify himself on her table.
Mamma mia!
The diner later apologized wholeheartedly for this happening, but it's hard for a small young restaurant chain to recover from a bad stunt like this. Unlike, say, Denny's or Red Lobster, I couldn't find any locations remaining, and it's likely that Karen's is never coming back. But thank you for all the hard-working staff at Karen's. That couldn't have been an easy job, and it was a short 2-year run, but thanks for making it such a novel experience.
What a disappointment.
Our next bankrupt chain is TGI Fridays. TGI Fridays has had a tough time over the last decade. In that decade, they've closed over half their locations. And as of 2024, they filed for bankruptcy. And of all the food chains I found that went bankrupt, they have perhaps the worst online reputation. TGI Fridays is a very old food chain, starting back in Manhattan in 1965. It was originally a bar for singles to meet, and TGI was famous for their bartender tricks.
TGI Fridays is famous for having this annual bar championship where bartenders would compete and who had the best technique and skills.
According to Wall Street Journal, their sales peaked in 2008 and fell continually after the recession. And like many restaurants, the pandemic hit TGI Fridays like a sledgehammer. In 2020 alone, they closed over 50 of their restaurants.
You know what? The TGI Friday closures are really sad in my opinion. I used to go to the ones that were in Stockholm all the time, and honestly, I loved all my experiences there every time I went there. So when they closed down, I was very sad. But it is what it is. The pandemic, it really hit us hard. But I do miss TGI Fridays.
By 2023, due to their restaurants not meeting sales figures, most of the money was being funneled to their angry investors. And with less money going into the restaurants, the customer experience tanked with it. And this reflected a lot of the reviews I found.
TGI Fridays is awful. I've had better chicken burgers at KFC. £48 for 2 meals. I feel ripped off.
The portions were tiny. They've been too expensive for years.
We went there for my birthday. My kids agree it's overpriced crap.
And you know, it's very interesting to see that so many people rate TGI Fridays so low in, say, the States or whatever, because in Sweden, I feel like the customer service there, or like the food in general, was of a much higher quality. In my opinion, TGI Fridays was always really nice when I went there.
Clearly the prices aren't competitive, and the top Reddit on the restaurant I could find was, are all TGI Fridays terrible?
I had the pork belly nachos. It was too dry and too wet at the same time.
What? How is that even possible? Anyway, on Trustpilot, TGI's average score was 1.9 out of 5, with similar complaints there, such as high prices and long wait times. I mean, I'm sure there are good TGI Fridays out there, and I bet there are couples out there who first met at TGI Fridays. And honestly, with TGI Fridays being 65 years old, it had an amazing run.
What are we gonna do? Next.
Our next bankrupt chain is Denny's.
Alright, I'm done with this. Let's go to Denny's.
In the last few years, Denny's has shut down over 150 of its restaurants, with plans to shut down 178 restaurants nationwide in 2025. While many are closing due to low performance and quote-unquote unprofitable locations, some of the restaurant buildings are simply too old to refurbish. According to Denny's vice president,
Some of our restaurants are very old because our brand is over 70 years old. These buildings are too ancient to remodel. Bulldoze them!
for many years, Denny's has been one of the biggest family restaurant chains in the USA. But on top of all these closures, Denny's stock is down by nearly 50%. So you get the point, but why is Denny's struggling so much? Executives blamed rising inflation for their lower customers, as well as the wildfires and snowstorms across the USA. But obviously, there are many concerns for people, such as tariff announcements and bird flu. With rising costs of living, many people simply don't have the disposable income they used to. Just paying the bills and rent can take up a big portion of many people's paychecks. And many people, understandably, just aren't willing to spend as much out at restaurants in these uncertain times. But regardless of what executives say, what do the actual customers say? Well, from what I found, Denny's reputation isn't actually that bad. Over the years, Denny's has had some very valid discrimination controversies, but their health inspection records are some of the cleanest in all of US casual dining chains. And when I looked at Trustpilot, their reputation was astonishingly good, averaging 3.7 out of 5 stars. This may sound subpar, but compared to McDonald's, which averages 1.6 stars, 3.7 stars is freaking incredible. And Trustpilot is ruthless with its reviews. This really is quite good. Some of the top reviews included
Wondrous star. It was pure joy, kindness, professional. We appreciate this, especially in these trying times. My grandson left feeling so much better than he had the entire week. By the way, we truly love the blueberry pancakes as always.
There was also Amanda's review.
This isn't spelled right.
Yeah, but we want to be authentic, so I think we should read it as is.
Alright, the staff worked well together and the food was amazing. I am glad we decided to stop in and eat. We was disappointed at all. Thank you guys. It meant a lot to me and my family, Florida family.
And these questionably punctuated but positive reviews were one of many, but obviously they weren't all perfect.
I ordered the biscuits and gravy. There wasn't enough gravy on it. Eggs were wet and bacon not cooked enough. The pancakes were cold.
But looking at reviews overall, it's probably not Denny's lack of service that tanks their business. And Denny's has been around for a long time, so there's still a lot of Denny's restaurants out there they'd have to close to disappear completely. But with all of these shutterings, the future of Denny's is uncertain. Yeah, let's do one more review.
I'm a trucker, I eat and all the Denny's around the country. Crazy Skillet can't be ordered till after 11. I won't fuel at this Flying J or eat again.
Well, I hope you do eat again. Food is important for the body.
True. Next.
Next up, we have Applebee's. While Chili's has been a success in recent years, Applebee's has struggled more to stay relevant, with around 60 locations closing since 2023, 100 closing in 2017, and multiple franchisees filing for bankruptcy. As of 2025, Applebee's sales have declined for the 8th consecutive time, so it's been a general downward trend for them. Why though? Well, unlike Chili's, Applebee's is almost exclusively owned by franchisees. Basically, a franchisee is your average small business running a restaurant. So unlike Chili's, they can't make sweeping huge changes to every restaurant. And franchisees can be slower to adapt, simply not having the huge renovation money a giant business does. So Applebee's restaurants can often start to look old, sometimes barely holding on. And when the customers start to see the restaurants looking old and badly renovated, the customers can leave. Meaning even less income, and it's a vicious cycle from there.
Applebee's has rats! I found a whole rat in my Cobb salad!
And if a franchisee goes, many Applebee's can go with them. We can see this happening in Kansas City, where a franchisee filed for bankruptcy recently, shutting down 8 Applebee's at once, leaving just 2 left in Kansas. 2 weeks before this, a Louisiana Applebee's filed for bankruptcy too. There weren't very clear answers from CEOs on why people were going to Applebee's less. But to be fair, what CEO was going to tell their shareholders that their business is going down the toilet? So instead, I simply asked customers. The first Reddit I found is Applebee's really as awful as Redditors describe? People's responses weren't terrible, but certainly mixed.
True.
Applebee's is just that kind of place where you go because you live too far away from any other mega chain restaurant.
I'd have no issue going there sober if I was hungry and there was one right up the road, but it definitely wouldn't be my first choice.
It's not terrible, but it's not a
So
great
just can't stand out.
restaurant.
All right,
And
makes
definitely
sense.
not the kind of place you take a person on a first date.
From what I can gather, failure often comes from a franchisee's lack of money for store improvements or renovation, or stinginess, or just a poor general reputation. Though interestingly, we are seeing Applebee's parent company Dine Brands make some big changes in 2025 to try and win customers back. They just brought back 47 restaurants from franchisees to renovate. And now we're actually seeing Applebee's and IHOP join forces, combining their restaurants into one hybrid, such as their first hybrid restaurant in Texas. By having both your IHOP pancakes and Applebee's in one place, this may help them have a comeback. But given Applebee's has had 2 straight years of sales dropping, things are looking kinda grim.
Let's just hope they
Trustpilot
don't
wasn't
bring
a lot nicer
let's just
in
hope
their
they don't
reviews.
bring
The
IHOP
fries
down
were
with them.
cold and over-salted. And all you can eat ribeyes is a scam. I was never given any more than 3. I will not return again.
The staff can't mix a drink, and their food is going downhill fast.
Our waiter forgot about us. 40 minutes later and no food. They'd gone cold. And the bartender had an attitude. I'm never going back again. The restaurant was not crowded. I stood there for 5 minutes and wrote a crayon note that they took too long to seat me and I left.
Huh, guess they carry a crayon with them. Maybe I should try that too.
More pen. Might work
Next up, we have Ruby Tuesday. Named after the Rolling Stones song, Ruby Tuesday is known for
Not been
nostalgic
here.
American dishes like pork ribs and burgers. Oddly though, they were actually most well remembered for their quote-unquote endless garden bars. And frankly, this is the first time I've ever heard of a restaurant known for their salads. But as of 2020, they filed for bankruptcy, permanently closing 185 of their restaurants. Looking at Google Maps, there's still locations left in America, and with mostly good reviews. So respect for their quality food and customer service. In 2003, it started gaining awareness for its many coupons. But from what I've seen, it really struggled with its identity compared to, say, Red Lobster, Applebee's, or TGI Fridays. They tried to revamp their brand identity in 2007. In 2008, they even had a live streaming internet video where they intended to implode the final old Ruby Tuesday restaurant in front of a small crowd in Ohio. However, to the crowd's shock, they blew up the restaurant next door instead. But it turns out, this was all a prank on a Hollywood set. Looking at Ruby Tuesday's constant efforts to improve their food menu, rebrand themselves, and improve their customer service, I can certainly say they tried their best to survive. For example, they continually revamped their menus and introduced HD televisions and free Wi-Fi into all of their restaurants. They tried to appeal more to younger families too, offering free kids meals on Tuesdays. But as I learnt myself when I nearly closed my channel, sometimes in business, your best just isn't good enough. After their many more store closures and the ruthless restaurant market during the pandemic, and the modern financial cost of living crisis, they've lost many locations. But as of 2025, Ruby Tuesday does still have locations around America, with mostly solid reputations. And hey, 3.3 average on Trustpilot, not bad. What do the reviews say?
My daughter had a spray tan for prom. Ended up all blotchy, had toenails done. One was all
Where's that Ruby
smudged, was
Tuesday?
very disappointed.
Hang on, that's for Ruby Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't seem to find Ruby Tuesday mentioning they do spray tans, so let's try a
that come
review
from?
from Catherine.
My waitress is magnificent. She's never short with anyone. I purchased a 30-day salad bar pass, and she is always so kind. The
30 days,
ultimate waitress.
Their customer service reputation really was some of the best wherever I looked. So if you do find a Ruby Tuesday location, I think you're at least in for a smile and a warm welcome. Next up, we have
Here?
Red Lobster. In
I think we heard
2024,
of this.
Red Lobster has closed
I don't know,
around 100 of its restaurants.
Yeesh.
And then they filed for bankruptcy, with officials deeming Red Lobster a quote-unquote zombie brand. And the main reason given is actually kind of funny. In case you don't know, Red Lobster is known for its seafood
champagne
dining
biscuits.
experience in America. Since 1968, it's been a go-to if you've got a hankering for seafood. But one of the major investors blamed a single promotion for bankruptcy
the
in
all-you-can-eat
2023.
shrimp.
The $20 Endless Shrimp promo.
While the shrimp are endless, this offer isn't. Come in now for the best value of the year at Red Lobster.
Apparently, Americans literally ate Red Lobster into bankruptcy, eating way more shrimp than investors had anticipated. Apparently, this $20 all-you-can-eat promo caused Red Lobster millions of dollars in losses. According to senior finance reporter Jennifer,
Consumers now are looking for value when they're going outside of the home. And I think that consumers really ate more than Red Lobster could afford.
the cost of living crisis made a lot of people into craftier consumers, but definitely not curbed their appetite, with many people pivoting towards restaurants that offer good value per price, or at least pivoting towards the fast casual chains. And seafood is often seen as an expensive gourmet dining experience. So I guess many people saw Red Lobster and they were like, I can't afford lobster, I'll eat somewhere cheaper tonight.
Yeah.
But did Red Lobster quote-unquote deserve this loss? How's their reputation? Well, let's start with Trustpilot. Averaging 2.8 isn't too bad. Let's try Dorothy's review.
Fried flounder was bland. Couldn't even taste of cheese biscuits. Hubby got the Bay Harbour lobster
Cheese
bake, and he
biscuits.
was disappointed, as we very disappointed as well. But the best part was the mozzarella cheese sticks.
Well, I suppose not everyone could have hated the fish, as USA literally ate Red Lobster into bankruptcy. According to Mark,
My fish was rancid. I took my mom and she had the tilapia. Rancid. She ate it anyway and ended up with food poisoning.
I've picked some of the more amusing negative reviews, but in reality, there were also many positive reviews.
Crab legs,
Let's see May's review.
Oh my god, that is the best crab legs I have ever tasted in my life. The service was amazing, and I had nothing to complain about this restaurant.
Google particularly had a ton of positive reviews. I looked on Google Maps, and even if there's less of them, there's still quite a lot of Red Lobster locations scattered around, many with very positive reviews and reputations. So I hope Red Lobster's remaining restaurants rise from bankruptcy and can offer good service and serve some tasty seafood. Next up, we have California Pizza Kitchen. California Pizza
this
Kitchen,
one I
or
actually do remember a
CPK,
lot.
wasn't just a place to pick up a fresh pizza like Domino's. It was a popular choice of pizza if you wanted a frozen pizza from the grocery store. They sold about 29 million frozen pizzas per year. CPK started way back in 1985 and filed for bankruptcy in 2020. At the time, it was saddled with more than $400 million in debt, which is no joke. But it isn't quite dead yet. On Google Maps, I could still find 3 California pizza kitchens in the USA, and one in Hawaii, which is cool. And unlike Applebee's, I found a ton of good reviews on this place. And on Trustpilot, averaged nearly 3 out of 5 stars. Again, not the best, but it's better than Applebee's and miles better than McDonald's. CPK's average score even beats Olive Garden.
This is my favourite pizza place, and I like their strawberry lemonade too. They remove the croutons, but I get croutons from the store, so 5 stars.
Our waitress had such a great attitude. She knew everything about the menu and even gave us some pointers on what to eat. I've never had better service in my life and felt so welcome.
But why would such an astoundingly good reputation see its restaurants go down the toilet? Well, sadly, sometimes even the best of service isn't enough in the face of misfortune. CPK faced a slow decline between the 2008 financial crisis to the 2020 pandemic. I know it's really common to hear about the pandemic's impact on businesses, but it really was no joke how bad it was, particularly for dine-in restaurants. And California Pizza Kitchen was no Domino's. Similar to Chuck E. Cheese, a big part of its business is the dine-in pizza experience. And during the pandemic, casual dining sales dropped down by roughly 60%. At one point, bars and dining traffic was down by a whopping 90%. CPK was eventually taken private, and the investors' Golden Gate failed to modernize the brand. They tried things like gluten-free pizza and cauliflower pizza crusts. As CPK floundered, Domino's non-contact delivery continued to claim all the world's pizza customers. And as of now, Domino's is the world's biggest pizza chain. No contest, the biggest. And it's seeming like there just isn't a ton of wiggle room for the casual pizza dining experience. But as of 2020, CPK has quietly emerged from bankruptcy and lost some of its debt. Again, I couldn't find more than a few stores open, but I like that CPK is sticking to maintaining quality in its handful of stores over aggressive expansion like so many fast food chains try to.
Hang on.
What's up, honey?
I want to do a bad review.
Oh yeah, go ahead, love. I really couldn't find many bad reviews for CPK, but according to Priscilla on Trustpilot...
I hate frozen pizza, but my hubby likes it, so I bake it. CPK pizzas will still burn around the edges way before the middle is done.
Ugh. Adam was more concise.
Aldi pizza buyer beware. It's bad.
But I couldn't find this reported anywhere else, so I think if you do drop into one of the few CPKs left, you'll almost certainly get a fresh pizza. And if you'd like to share your own experience with these restaurants, I'd be curious to hear about it. Feel free to leave what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and whether I see you next time or not, I'll be back. For today's...
Oh, there you go. Honestly, I have to say, there is a lot going on, and... whew. Honestly, hard to call it. What do you guys think? You think they deserve the fall or not? Let me know in the comments. Well, till next time. See ya.